All right, so I want to talk about this real quick here. Amandla Stenberg, who's the actress that played Mei and Osha in The Acolyte, discussed the cancellation of the show on Instagram, and I wanted to give my thoughts on what she said here. Before I go any further, obviously, I'm sure most of you know, I personally do not condone like harassing an actor, even though her and Leslie Headland and people have said some dumb things. Don't ever stoop to the level of just being a prick to them. It's just not right. I did want to, however, talk about what she said. So she said that The Acolyte getting canceled is not a huge shock due to the extreme vitriol from Star Wars fans. This is what it says. There has been a rampage of vitriol that we have faced since the show was even announced. A rampage of, I would say, hyper-conservative bigotry and vitriol, prejudice, hatred, and hateful language towards us. She adds, it's been an incredible honor and dream for me to be in this universe, and the audiences who did watch the show were deeply loved and appreciated, and it made this job all the worthwhile for me. So, first of all, it's good that she's acknowledging the fans of the show, because the show does have its fans, and, you know, if you like the show, great, but a lot of people didn't like the show. The thing is, okay, is there a rampage of vitriol from hyper-conservative, like bigotry or whatever? I'm sure there were a lot of people who were throwing many bigoted slurs at her and other members of the cast. Unfortunately, the reality is that fandoms are like that. Fandoms have knuckleheads. It's unfortunate, but it is how it is. It is what it is. However, it's not, I don't believe, a full reflection of the Star Wars audience. The reality is this, folks. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. If the show had an audience, it doesn't matter what the internet says. It doesn't matter how many YouTube channels pop up. It doesn't matter what the Rotten Tomatoes score is. If Star Wars The Acolyte had a big audience, then it would have been renewed for a second season. It would have never even come into question. The issue is that based on the numbers that I saw, there was interest at the very beginning. The first week, I believe, or first 2 weeks, there was a lot of hype going into the show, and there were a lot of people who watched it. A lot of folks watched it the first week. But then they dropped off. And what that means, and I'm not blaming Amandla Stenberg on this, because this is not her job. But what that means is that the first couple of episodes were not enough to hook people into watching the show because there was a drop-off in viewership. I once again reiterate, it doesn't matter how many people complain, how many folks make videos, none of that matters. All that matters is, what is the viewership? What does Disney Plus say about the viewership? And clearly, it was bad. It was abysmal. So, were there bad reviews early on? Probably. I mean, I'm sure there were. But if people watched it, none of that would have mattered. That's what it all comes down to. So, I don't know what her next project is. I don't know this person on a personal level at all. And I don't even think, like, I'm not even going to be one of those guys who, like, tries to make fun of her. Like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not. She did the best she could. And it's the same thing with the whole cast, man. I mean, what can you do? Do the best you can, but if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. There have been other shows that have been canceled in the past that were way more beloved than Acolyte. There were shows that people loved that were canceled. It's happened. I don't see this as a miscarriage of justice because it just didn't get the audience. So, it is what it is, man. Anyways, what do you think? Am I wrong? If so, fire off in the comments.